That's he's got to pick that. That was the right distance. He's hit that out of the ground. That's another one. Goodness gracious me, that peppered the top. You see the chap climbing up there to have a look over the wall. 52 in 29 minutes. That's another one up in the enclosure. 3 balls, 3 sixes, 58. What an incredible bit of hitting. Oh, he's got that shorter one. It's up again. There it is, bouncing on the concrete. 4 sixes in 4 balls. This makes him 64. 4 sixes. Wonder where Nash is going to bowl this one. And that will just carry. No, he's going to be out. Caught out. Oh, he's dropped it. He's over the boundary. 6 it is. 5 on the trot. Oh, this is incredible. Now, this is 6 on the trot's a world record. Been done before, but 70 on the board. And he's done it! He's done it! And my goodness, it's gone way down to Swansea. 6 on the trot. 36 in 1 over. My goodness gracious, what an over.
In the background, the game is in progress, and BC is batting at 56 for without loss, going at 155. The game is sort of important, but what's more important is the gentleman here, gentleman who we have with us right now. We have Sir Gary Sobers, who you've heard about. We've talked on the program today already to you about that. They've been here. Sir Gary is here, Everton Weeks, Charlie Griffith, Simon Nurse, and Wayne Daniel, all West Indian players par excellence. And with us also, joining us here is Malcolm Nash, who played cricket with Sobers. And I'll ask Malcolm to maybe go through and reminisce a little bit about that.
Well, it seems a long time ago that we were really in major competition together, but I suppose the one notable thing, the world record of 6 sixes took place a quarter of a century ago. And when you start to think in those terms, it seems an awful long time. But after Gary had done that, we had sort of another 4 or 5 years in competitive cricket against each other, and it's just rather sad that due to various circumstances, Gary's not playing in this game today. It would have been really good.
There are a lot of people out here who would have liked to see him walk in, even walking into the wicket. He had such a unique walk into the wicket, and then people knew what to expect after that.
It was certainly characteristic. The swaying of the hips, yes, and it was a joy to watch, and obviously it was also good fun bowling against him too, even though you might get on the receiving end occasionally.
Poetry in motion. Well, Sir Gary, could you reminisce a little bit with us about some of your days playing with Malcolm, and maybe a little bit about West Indian cricket during your heyday?
Well, first of all, I would love to say, Ben, that it is marvellous to be in Vancouver. It's a place that I had looked forward to coming to for quite some time. I've never had that opportunity, and I was very pleased when the Minister of Tourism and Sports, the Honourable Wes Hall, had given me that opportunity to come here. Unfortunately, he is not here. He's taken ill with a thing called chicken pox, and he's been left at home, but I'm sure that he's missing it very much. He would have loved to be here. Malcolm and I, as Malcolm has said, we've gone back a long way. I think we played before that, Malcolm. I think we, on 1 or 2 occasions, you played for the MCC and I was playing against you, and I played for the West Indies when you played also for Glamorgan. I think it was just one of those unfortunate things that happened to Malcolm, and unfortunately it was a world record, and I know that it put both of us on the map because it doesn't matter whether you're at the right or the wrong end. It doesn't really matter because it takes 2, as they say, to tango. And without Malcolm, I could not have been there, and without me, he could not be there. And it was one of those occasions where I had just gone to Notts. It was my first season in county cricket, and I had had a little wager with Leslie Ames' wife, Bunty Ames, when they heard that I had signed, that my agent in England, Bagnall Harvey, had signed a contract for me to play with Notts. And she said to me, what position you think you can get Notts into, considering that they have run last for the last 16 years? And I said to her, well, I think I can get them in the first 4. And she said to me, we know you're good, but you're not that bloody good, you know. And she said, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. Seeing that you're not a gambling man, we'll have a little wager. We'll have 6 bottles of champagne if you get them in the first 6. So when we went to Glamorgan, it was a match which was poised to be a very good match, because if Glamorgan had beaten us, I remember this quite clearly, Glamorgan would have won the championship. If we had beaten Glamorgan, we would have finished in the first 4. So it was everything to play for. And when I went into bat, I think we were about something like 200 and something runs. And I was going to just go in, have a little look at the bowling, and then try and get on with the game, get as many runs as possible so I can make a declaration. Not like the one in Trinidad, which I became very famous for too. So I went in, and Malcolm came on. I started to play a little few shots off the medium paces. They brought Malcolm on, and he came on at that time when I was about to get to just throw my bat at the ball. It didn't matter whether I got out or not. The whole purpose of the exercise was to get as many runs in a shorter time so I can make the declaration and give them an opportunity. And I started to hit, and the first one, and I must say that I had a very short boundary on the leg side, and Malcolm being a left-arm spinner meant that the ball was coming into me, into this short side, as you would know, you're left-arm spinning yourself. And I thought, well, with one eye on that side and one eye on the ball, that's where I'm going to aim most of my shots. And the first 2 I think I hit over square leg, and Malcolm thought, well, this is not good enough. Right. It's obviously a short boundary, and being a very shrewd professional, he thought, well, I'll drift it a little bit further outside the off stamp. And I hit one over mid-on, and that went up into the seats, because at Swansea you come down something like 99 steps or something like that. It's a long walk when you make knot. Right. So anyhow, that one went all right. Then the fourth one just went over square leg again, and the 5th one, Malcolm drifted a little further outside the off stamp, and I hit it down to deep mid-off. Yeah. And unfortunately, the fielder, who could have stand up onto the ball and caught it very simply, tried to get the ball into his lap, and by running back, he got the ball in there, and he and the ball went over the ropes. And I was on my way as soon as I saw him. And the crowd start shouting, "You're not out, you're not out." I think they were enjoying it even more than I was.
I was shouting he was out.
So I walked halfway down, and when they said that, I stopped. And then Eddie Phillipson, that's right. Who was the other umpire? I don't remember who the other umpire was. They started to consult, and all of a sudden the hand went in the air.
For 6 runs? Right.
So I went back to bat, and I said to myself, well...
What did you say to yourself?
I'll tell you in a minute. I said, well, Malcolm, I know you're an old pro. I know you're going to try to change the line. You're going to try to change the pace and the flight. But I've already made up in my mind that this is what you're going to do. So I'm already prepared. So I know you're going to try to ball it flatter and quicker, and you're going to try to ball it outside the off stump. But the thing in my mind that focus more is the short boundary there. I'm not going to try to hit it straight, because 6 sixes has never been done before. It's the first time that it entered my mind that 6 sixes could be hit in an over. So I said, well, I got to give it a go. Yes. I can't let it slip up now. And Malcolm did bowl it a little bit quicker. And he dropped it halfway down the wicket. Oh, there. My eyes open as big as a football. And with one eye on the ball and one eye on the short boundary, and I swung at it. Yes. I swung so hard that even if it hit the top edge, it would have still gone for 6. Yes. But unfortunately, it hit the middle. Right. And I remember when I went in.
It was a favour, actually, because you lost the ball. We couldn't get the ball back, and so Gary declared the innings. So that was the end of the punishment.
Yeah. Well, I remember as I went in after we were and I went to the pavilion, and they said the commentator was saying, "Oh my dad, that one has gone over the buses, it's gone over the houses, it's gone to the Guildhall." and ladies and gentlemen, the Guildhall is somewhere like 4 miles away.
Yes.
And it was one of those seasons when they first started the John Player League, and the fixtures was all confused. You were playing a Sunday game, like we played a 3-day game against Glamorgan in Swansea. Then we had to go back to Notts to play the Sunday game.
Yes.
So it meant that we went back there on the Sunday. We came back to Glamorgan on the Sunday evening to play the game on Monday. And I remember I was standing up talking to Wolf Fuller, who they called the mayor of Glamorgan. And while I was talking to him, a little boy came up to Wolf, and he said to him, excuse me, Mr. Wooler, is this the ball? Is this the ball you've been looking for? Is this the ball that Sir Gary Sorbers hit for the last 6? He looked at it, and he said, yes, son. He said, where did you find it? He says, oh, I found it down the road, and it was still rolling. But, you know, it was one of those things, and I think Malcolm is such a good sport. You know, that Malcolm and I, we were walking up to this rostrum as soon as it happened, and Malcolm was smiling, and I looked at him, I says, Malcolm, why are you so happy? What are you smiling about? He says, well, listen, don't forget, you couldn't have done it without me. You know, but we've had a lot of laughs over that, and we've had a lot of fun. You know, we've managed to go on television and discussed it, and you know, but it was a great match. It turned out to be a very, very good match, and we won, and we finished 4th, so I won my bet. But you know, there have been many things that I've done over the years, and as Everton Weeks, who to me is one of the greatest batsmen that ever lived, he and I, as we discussed last night on the radio, it's very difficult for one to talk about themselves, you know, and I think I've had a very good run as a cricketer. I started at the age of 17. I think I played longer than any other Test cricketer. I played Test cricket for 20 years. I missed 1 year. I played for 18 years consecutive. I never was injured. I never pulled a muscle, never went off the field for 18 consecutive years. And I think that is good a record as making runs and getting wickets and performing. Right. And you know, and I have been able over that period of 18 years to perform, to bat in all various countries, to play under all different conditions, to play some of the great players. Right. And most of all, one of the most important things is that during those years, we were able to travel, meet people, and the game was a game which we enjoy. It was very friendly. There were a lot of characters in the game. We enjoy it. We enjoy each other's company, whether we were winning or losing. And that was the most important thing about the game.
So Gary, what can you say to us and our youngsters who are coming up here in Canada? What sort of message would you give to them?
Well, I think at the present moment there's so many distractions to youngsters as far as sport is concerned that I would say to youngsters, if they're interested in a sport, then first of all, they must be dedicated to it, and they must have that enthusiasm that they want to play it and they want to improve. And if they want to do that, they must stick with it, and they must not be distracted by other things, as we have seen in the West Indies lately. And if they do that, they will find that their game will improve, and they'll probably become successful as long as they have that ability and that keenness to do well.
Thanks. Malcolm, would you care to respond to a few of those remarks?
Sure. I think, firstly, just to talk about Sir Garfield, I mean, he obviously doesn't want to talk about himself, but we all know that over a period of time, records are there to be broken. And some of Gary's records have been broken. One will never get equaled, but it won't get broken. And nobody can ever deny what this man has done for the game of cricket. He is charisma about the game. He walks on the field, people are buzzing. Something will happen somewhere, whether he's fielding, whether he's bowling. I mean, as a bowler, he could bowl quick, very quick. He could bowl orthodox slow left arm, he could bowl wrist spin. The other great all-rounders in the world, being good batters, good bowlers, but couldn't do it all. This gentleman can do it all, did it all, at every level of the game, and he epitomises what the game is about. He won't tell that himself, but he is what this game is all about. Prepared to talk to people, encourage youngsters, has his own junior trophies, competition in the West Indies, does a lot for youth cricket in the UK, and is a magnificent ambassador to the game of cricket. And what he said about the encouragement to youth cricket and junior cricket, not just in Canada but worldwide, is true. And if people want to get out there and do it, they have to stick at it. And we perhaps have an obligation of giving them that opportunity of doing that and providing facilities and so forth. So it becomes not just a one-way situation. Players have to get involved, administrators, and there has to be a financial situation where we can put all this into place.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you, Sir Gary, and your group of Barbados cricketers who've come here on a promotional tour to promote the annual Pro-Am tournament, Masters tournament in Barbados, which will be held at the end of October. And we look forward to sending some BC sides, if not this year, in future years, and establish a bond of friendship through sport. And already we feel that some of that is taking place. Thank you so much for bringing such a fine group with you and sharing some of your experience with us. Thank you, Sir Gary. Thank you, Malcolm Nash.
Okay, thanks, Ben.